Hi, this is Elizabeth, one of the co-hosts of Beauties and Headcanons. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
It's hashtag No Filter Friday, and I am feeling in a way that I'm almost out of tea, and we haven't even really started the show yet. So, this is how I'm feeling today. So, hashtag No Filter Friday on Public House Media. It's happening. It's happening live, and hopefully, my pink headphones that match my robe are working. That's my hope. Because I accidentally kind of waterlogged them, and that's not a fair thing to do to headphones if you expect them to work. So let me take a minute and share the show because it's a discussion. We do this live for a reason. Most of the time we do this live for a reason. Other times not so much. Okay, let us share the show. Get people in here so we can have a discussion. Oh, look, I have a water. I didn't even know that I had this. I'm so very excited. Just sitting here thinking all I had left was a little tiny bit of tea, but you know what? Share. I don't. I have a whole thing of water, which is great. It is great. Your timeline. Okay. Okay, so we're going to post it. Wonderful. Fantastico. So let us go back so I can see myself. Yay! How wonderful. Oh! I kind of missed my cushy seat. I'm so over Mercury retrograde. So over it. Been over it. Can't stand it. Not into it. I took a shower and that's how I end my day. It's like once I bathtubed, nothing else is happening. So I did that at like 7 o'clock. I was like, you know what? This is enough. This is enough for today. We can just leave it there. That's plenty. So there was a story that broke today on Harvey Weinstein. And it made me a little suspicious, and I wanted to talk about it, but I need a home slice to confirm or deny some rumors for me today. Hello, Aussie. Thank you for coming in. And my friend hasn't gotten back to me yet, so I don't think it is appropriate just yet to talk about that story. Although, if you are a faithful No Filter Friday listener, maybe go read it, see what you think, and then send me a comment. I stupidly thought it would be a good idea to post, on Instagram where you can do an Insta story and be like, oh my gosh, ask me questions and I'll answer them in my DMs. I don't do that ever because of the things that I find in my DMs regularly. The dick pics that I talked about on last week's episode. So I just don't do that. And I was like, in the spirit of Friday today, why not? Why not see if anybody on Instagram has questions for the show? That was dumb. I knew it was dumb. I did it anyway, and it was terrible. It was a terrible experience. So we're going to stick to taking questions for the show on Facebook or Twitter, because I feel like those are mediums that are maybe less inclined for guys to slide in my DMs with stupid questions. So we're not doing that again. So officially, as of this moment, questions for the show can go through Facebook, whether that be my Facebook fan page or my regular page on Messenger, or they can come to my Twitter via DM or just, adding me. Excuse me. David Bobkey's here. Hey, David Bobkey, can you do me a favor and tell me if the matching pink headphones sound okay? Because I did waterlog them, but I wanted to use them because, well, they match. So give me your opinion on the sound quality from the waterlogged pink headphones. Because I would be very upset if I have officially ruined them. So, with that being said, if you are one of these, faithful no filter Friday, I don't know, if you have allegiance to the show, go ahead and see if go read the article that came out today about Harvey Weinstein. It's all over the place. He's trying to get his case thrown out based on some of these emails. But go read it, and then maybe we'll have an even bigger group discussion next week, as this unfolds. I really wanted to do it today, but it just it's not working. It's not working, just like everything else with retrograde. So what I thought we would talk about is Les Moonves, who was this CBS CEO. This is from Fast Company, and I thought it's not a super new article. It's from, I guess so. It's on top. It's not as new as the new Harvey Weinstein article. So this is from Fast Company, but it's not super great. Let me move it around. Is it better without headphones? I don't want to be garbly. The last thing I want to be is garbly. I don't want that. Does it sound better without the headphones, David? Tell me your feelings. Tell me your thoughts. Tiara's here. Hello, Tiara. Thanks for coming by. Does it sound okay? If I'm not going to have headphones, I have to be closer to that. I have to be closer to it. Which means you're going to have to look at me like this, unless you're a podcast listener. So far, better. Okay, great. Well, we're going headphone free this week. Off the rails, folks. We're off the rails. Okay, so back to Les Moonves via Fast Company. So there he is, right there. Kind of a older fellow. This is by Nicole Laporte. The CBS CEO may be embattled on Twitter, but he doesn't sound like he's going anywhere yet. And the reason is the entertainment industry's muddled feelings about reckoning with offensive behavior. The reason, actually, I wanted to cover this guy anyway, but there has been a lot of chatter, and by chatter, I mean people talking on the internet. No, David Bobkey, hashtag no Rails Friday. That's right. We don't have Rails around here. We're just losing them. There's been a lot of chatter, people posting on the internet, about how, this is a due diligence problem. It's nobody's winning, which is true. Nobody does win with this kind of stuff floating around. Either way, it sucks. If something did happen to somebody and it's true, that sucks. If somebody lied and something didn't happen, that also sucks. It's it's a lose-lose situation, like literally any way you cut it. But things are changing around here. But a lot of that has to do with the growing pains of it. And like, my lovely, amazing photographer friend, Kyle Goldie, who shot me for Maxim and Playboy and all those fun things, he commented on last week's show about how, you know, guys get, you know, harassed and propositioned and, you know, on down the line, too, and it's not cool, but it's weird to talk about, and nobody really ever says anything, and if they do say things, it's weird, you never know, like, what reaction you're gonna get, and that's true, like, other than Terry Crews, like, nobody specific has said anything, from the guy perspective, which, 1 in 6 boys is molested in their life, and I don't even know what the statistic is for grown adult men. But they have it even worse, in my opinion, because people are like, oh, you liked it, like, shut up. So, and that's not fair. Someone tells you that they had, like, an experience, like, especially for a guy to tell you, like, hey, this and this and this happened to me. It took a lot for them to say that to anyone, certainly you. So, you know, be accommodating. Be accommodating when they tell you things. You know, they don't make a handbook on this, but I've considered doing that. I've considered making some sort of a guide, if you will, on talking to people in your life that have had that are survivors of sexual harassment or sex crimes or molest or what have you, like what to do about that. Because it's, nobody tells you how to do it unless you're like a professional trained therapist. And even sometimes, you know, those people miss the mark. Like, it's hard. It's a hard thing to do. So I've been thinking about putting a guide together on that, but who knows? Okay, so back to Mr. Les Moonves. During Thursday's CBS second quarter earnings call, CEO and Chairman Les Moonves was all peppy confidence, rattling off the #1 TV network stats. Revenue was up 6%, which is hard to do on a real network anymore. That's kind of amazing. The company's OTT platforms, CBS All Access and Showtime OTT, are beating expectations and are now on track to hit 16 million subscribers by 2022. That is huge for a network. That's huge. Like, and it's not a premium cable network. It's a regular old network. 70 shows were sold in the last quarter. As you can see, our strategy is clearly working. Moonves, a former actor, said buoyantly. That's a good word. Good job, Ms. LaFord. The call was rather surreal. It was a rather surreal moment, given its timing. Just a week ago, Ronan Farrow published an explosive piece in the New Yorker detailing 6 stories of Moonves using his positions of power over several decades of his entertainment career to sexually harass women and in 2 cases threaten to end their careers. We're going to get to these stories after I read you this. We're going a little bit backwards here. It all makes sense, I promise. Listening to Moonves on the call, none of his turmoil was evident, adding to the sense of conflict that surrounds the Moonves situation, as well as where the #MeToo movement is in Hollywood right now. In the wake of the Farrow piece, Hollywood is having to reassess one of its most beloved figures. We have to reassess one of our most beloved figures on a daily basis at this point. I don't have any kind of sympathy for that. I know it's hard to be like, oh man, I love the person from the thing. Man, I don't want this to be true. Like, nobody wants any of this to be true. Like, literally nobody. But more often than not it is, which sucks. But again, it goes back to our conversation of like it's a lose-lose for everybody. So, growing pains, trial, error, trial, error, trial, error. Sometimes that trial is in fact literal, not metaphorical. It is also having to sit uncomfortably as the CBS board of directors has allowed Moonves to remain in his position atop the leading television network, even as it hires 2 outside legal outfits to investigate the claims. Oh gosh, this is expensive. And CBS doesn't play with standards and practices. When I did an episode of CSI New York, they sent a lawyer from standards and practices down to set into wardrobe to measure my skirt to make sure it was long enough for standard of practice's liking. A lawyer with a ruler on my leg. Not even kidding. I've never known a lawyer to carry around a ruler. Never seen that before until I worked on CSI New York. Even as other institutions, USC and Moonves alma mater, Bucknell University, wipe his name from their boards and websites respectively. Ooh, that's cold. On Wednesday, Moonves stepped down from his position on the Commission of Eliminating Sexual Harassment and Advocating Equality in the Workplace, headed by Anita Hill. Oh, geez, this just gets worse and worse. But the more meta-level conflict or discomfort or flat-out frustration that the Moonves situation has brought to light has to do with the hashtag #MeToo trajectory and where it's landed as of August 2018. The events that give birth to this movement started with Harvey Weinstein. We know that. We've done like 6 shows on it by now. Something like this. This might as well be the Harvey Weinstein show, honestly. Because I just talk about other things until another thing about Harvey pops up. Went on to bring to light to director and producer Brett Ratner, actor Kevin Spacey, and Pixar and Walt Disney Animation creative chief John Lasseter. Among others, some people seem comfortable with these serial abusers being removed from the industry. I think a lot of people do. Warner Brothers made a very, very big statement when they told Brett Ratner to leave and take his money with him. I don't think a studio has ever said that before, ever. But recent weeks have seen Me Too adjacent events such as Amy Powell, the head of Paramount TV, being summarily banned for allegedly making racist comments during a notes call about a black TV show, and James Gunn, the Galaxy of the Guardians. I feel like they got that wrong. Galaxy of the Guardians. Didn't they mean to say Guardians of the Galaxy? Director being fired by Disney after some offensive tweets he made years ago resurfaced. That is a gloss over, and that is a show that we're going to have at another time. These are not sexual harassers, but it is bad behavior for the moment. That was close enough for Paramount and Disney. This one-size-fits-all, fire, aim, ready approach to dealing with claims of offense, whether the offense may be, has only Hollywood deeply uncomfortable. I only wish there were some middle ground. One studio executive tells me, it seems crazy that people's entire careers are going up in smoke for things that aren't at the Harvey level. The Harvey level. I'm going to put a pin in that, and we're going to come back to it at another time. This person mentioned the Powell case is one that is particularly aggrieving. Amy Powell is many things, says this person, using a few unflattering adjectives that are often used to describe hard-nosed female executives, but racist isn't one of them. This whole notion of a Harvey level is, of course, part of the problem. The man who has come to define the hashtag #MeToo movement is also its biggest outlier. At this point, no one else quite fits that profile. There are lots of people that do fit Harvey's profile. They just aren't in court yet, criminally. First of all, it's coming, which is what leads to plaintiff posts such as the one from CBS Films head Terry Press on her Facebook page last week, in where she wrote, I do not believe that it is my place to question the accounts put forth by the women, but I do find myself asking that if we are examining the industry as it existed decades before through the lens of 2018, we should discuss a path of learning, reconciliation, and forgiveness, to reach a point where we can accept some space between zero accountability and complete destruction. We must first grapple with the issue of equivalency. If we paint episodes of vulgar and deeply regrettable behavior from 20 years ago with the same brush as a serial criminal behavior, we will never move forward, and more importantly, we eschew the complicated nuances of context for the easier path of absolutes. She does absolutely have a point. There is a hierarchy to this, and we're living in a time of, like, I don't want to say hypersensitivity, but like things go from 0 to 100 really so fast. But for some people, it's okay. And for other people, it's, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. Like, there's no throttle on it. And, for one person, it's okay. And for another person, it's, absolute blasphemy. It just depends on who the person is. To reach a point where we can accept some space between zero accountability and complete destruction. Yes, of course. Without any institutional due process, remember that Hollywood spent a century institutionalizing and romancing harassment, from entry-level employees being verbally abused as a rite of passage to the casting couch. The industry at present isn't sure how to punish bad behavior that is creepy and offensive and perhaps could be the subject of civil litigation but isn't criminal. As a result, much is left to circumstance. If you work at Disney, a particularly image-sensitive company that also happens to be slavishly committed to precedent, you're done. 100% true. And with that, she's talking about James Gunn there. But yeah, if you work for the Mouse Mafia, you're going to have to comply with Mouse Mafia standards. That's the way it is. I don't know why it's a surprise. Apparently some people are surprised by it. Lasser's ouster was arguably also influenced by the fact that just a few days before Disney announced its decision, Weinstein was slapped with another rape charge, and the image of him being led into New York courtroom was all over the media. In that climate, Disney was not going to take the PR risk and not exile Lasseter. And if you listen to the Hollywood rumor mill, not all of Lasseter's skeletons have emerged from the closet, which is very true. And a lot of these people's full wardrobe of skeletons have not exited the closet. Like, they haven't. There's so much more coming, and I've been told. Let me back it up. I'm not gonna say that I've been told. I have heard on good authority that Harvey Weinstein is kind of like the sacrificial lamb in all of this, because as bad as the things are with him, what's coming in the wake of it is worse. And this is just, Harvey is just dipping the toes in the water of the heinous sex crimes that are to come. This town is chock full of pedophiles. You cannot swing a cat without hitting at least a few of them. They're everywhere. They're running around like squirrels. That's the real heinous, gross, evil stuff that goes down around here. At least Harvey's people, by and large, were with children, were with people that were of age. Sometimes it was, Kate Blanchett, underage, but most of the time it was grown adults. There's a lot of people in this town that make it a point to hurt minors. I did an episode of the show a long time ago with the help of Jonathan Lipnicki, the child actor from Stuart Little and Jerry Maguire, and among other things. He's worked a ton when he was a kid. He helped me put together some tips on how to keep your kids safe from said pedophiles in this town. Corey Feldman has been a friend of mine for a very long time, and he has really, really helped over the years. I've known him for like 10 years at least. Help me understand what it is these pedos are after in town and their proclivities and their patterns of behavior and things like that. I don't know that Corey's ever going to really say anything for real or do anything for real about the known pedophiles that he's dealt with over the course of his life, but we will see. But it is a very, very real thing around here, and I've been told on good authority that Harvey is just the sacrificial lamb that is going to open the slaughterhouse, basically, as for the sick, twisted, disgusting, evil stuff that's about to come out. Back to our article. But if you work at CBS, as we're finding, things are handled in more of a backroom boys club style thanks to the culture of the company. As Farrell illuminated, the CBS board, whose average age is 73, and which is made up of almost all white men who are movies loyalists, is not a natural set of allies for equality and justice, as the hashtag #MeToo mood of late has been muddied by controversies like that of Gunn's old tweets. This kind of entrenched culture isn't going to budge on its own. No, it's not, and that's, I mean, it's a big cultural rift we have between generations. But I think that's just another piece of like out with the old and in with the new. And I felt like this since this began, like considering, you know, Harvey's stuff was an open secret and Kevin's Spacey was an open secret, and so were a lot of these guys. When the news finally like broke to the rest of the public, most of the time was like, this is news, we all know this. You don't have to print this, we know. And I've said over and over and over again on the show that I was shocked that somebody actually finally cares. And I think it's just the hallmark of the generation that's coming up right now, that they're finally saying like, this is not okay. We're not putting up with this. We're not going to continue to not have professional standards, and we need to treat each other better and be professional about our professions. Like, it's a job. It's not a free-for-all. So I think they have a point there, but there's also, you know, oldies in this town that don't think that this is right either. There just wasn't anything to do about it up until now. To be clear, none of this relativity excuses anything. Someone who has sexually harassed someone or made a person or people feel unsafe or worse should pay the price regardless of where they work or what else is happening in the news at that particular time. But in the absence of any systemic process for handling abuse, sexual or otherwise, something of a Wild West environment has opened up. 100% true. And I've always felt like this business town, whatever you want to say, has always felt like the Wild Wild West. Like, you never know what's going to happen around here. Open up, where Twitter has become the jury, and late night talk show hosts tell us how we should contextualize what we're hearing or reading. I wonder if I fit into that late night talk show host telling you what you should be feeling or hearing. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. This is all the more so when it's someone like Moonves around whom there is a familiarity fallacy, as Megan Garber pointed out in a smart Atlantic piece this week. Unlike Harvey, people don't hate Les Moonves. People read 3 paragraphs into any story about the television titan with the winning track record, and you'll learn that Moonves is affable, charming, yada yada. Plus, he has a better than most track record with promoting female executives. In addition to press, among his proteges are Nancy Tellem, the former president of CBS Television Studios, Nina Tassler, the former chairwoman of CBS Entertainment, and Dawn Ostroff, the former head of the CW, who recently became Spotify's chief executive officer. Unlike Lasseter, Moonves sits in the very center of Hollywood ecosystem and has made a lot of people a lot of money over the years, not just CBS employees and stockholders, but everyone in the entertainment food chain, from producers to agents to showrunners to actors. In short, if Hollywood is like high school, and Hollywood is in every way like high school, Moonves is the class president. That's true, and that's a very good way to put it. It is like a high school around here, except the age gap is really, really big. If you want to take an analogy further, Lasseter is the quirky artist, Weinstein was the bully, Ratner was a self-styled bad boy smoking in the parking lot. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I've always thought of Brett as kind of a little dorky. I think calling him a bad boy smoking in the parking lot is a little bit of a reach, but whatever. Charlie Rose was the bookworm, and so forth. When the class president is accused of wrongdoing, particularly wrongdoing that took place years ago and is in very bad but not criminal bucket, then people start wringing their hands, which explains why there hasn't been off with his head Twitter movement. That people don't know who he is outside of this town. Like, people in middle America don't care who the head of CBS is, or they don't care. They don't care if you're not actually on television, or if you didn't like direct or write something. No one cares. Every now and then, somebody who's like a real cinephile will be like, "Oh, I really love that costume director. Oh, I really love that that composer, like other outside of that fringe, like nobody cares who executives are. They really don't care. Like unless you're in an episode of Entourage, no one cares. It helps not to be associated with kids entertainment, and why a week after the New Yorker piece posted, there is only a mild whiff of backlash, most notably by Samantha Bee last night, who said Les Moonves may be a brilliant TV creator, but no cop procedural, no matter how well crafted and original, is worth ending a woman's career to shut her up. Hollywood should not wait for the next case or for some industry or society-wide Nuremberg trials to rethink its internal HR policies regarding harassment. It could communicate these policies clearly to all employees and perhaps even to the public at large. Hollywood has long shaped our culture and it has a chance to do so again. It can and should start today. Okay, well, first of all, I have showed you on the show a network's standards and practices for, sexual harassment, stuff like that. If you work for NBC, even for a day, even for a half day, you have to go to their little NBC, like, anti-sexual harassment in the workplace, like, talk, I guess. It's kind of like an orientation, I guess. But you have to do it. Like, we're not lacking in words and handbooks and things like that. Like, that's not the case at all. But we're a business that is so entangled in, like, you get to do things based on who you are. What one person could get away with, another person can't. And that's based on so many factors, like levels of fame, how much money you make for people, how much people like you in general, who has an axe to grind with you, who they are, how famous they are, how much money they make. Like, we're really into hierarchy and pecking order around here. And if you're the guy at the top or the lady at the person at the top in general, and you're like, whoever is below you could get the axe. Like, it's really hard. How can I say this? It's really hard to axe somebody that's when they're holding the axe. Like that, it just doesn't. You have to wrestle the axe away from them and then cut their head off. It's like a whole extra step that may or may not work. So whatever this guy did do or didn't do doesn't really matter. The overall, I mean, it matters to the people involved, but the people involved are anonymous basically at this point. The tides were changing at the beginning, the cultural tides were changing at the beginning of, Harvey coming out and like hashtag Me Too, gaining the steam that it gained. And now we're in kind of like a strange intermittent phase, especially with this James Gunn stuff flying around, which I'll cover. That needs more time to cover. I'm probably going to have to do like a pre-taped video for that because I need to show you the tweets. And there's so many of them. There's like 10,000 tweets. It's crazy. That show requires a lot of graphics. So I'm going to leave James Gunn for another day. But the situation with Les Moonves, I don't think he's going anywhere. Whatever he did do was a long time ago, and they can handle it civilly. It's not criminal. It's kind of like an intercompany matter, basically. And when that company is doing the best in an industry, when network television and like traditional television is sinking, it's going in, it's sinking into the quicksand, and their head is the most above water. Nothing's gonna happen to him. That's gonna be a little blip on the radar, and people in middle America don't know who he is. When you look at a news story like, oh, this person from CBS, people are like, I don't know him. It's not gossip worthy. It's not repeatable enough for people to really latch onto it to make a Twitter storm. Like, people are diehards for Guardians of the Galaxy and for Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana and Bradley Cooper, like all these people that work on that stuff. People are diehards for that. But there's no convention about that people pay $1 zillion to go to about executives that they thoroughly enjoy. It's not a thing. So nothing is going to happen unless in movies. But I thought it was important to talk about the shift in the tide in this situation. So I think we're kind of at a place where people are slowing down a little bit and being like, hang on a second. Not everybody can be terrible. But that's the thing. I was like, by and large, people in this town are pretty effing terrible. Not everybody. We've got some gems laying around here, but by and large, it's really grimy. It's a grimy, icky, gross business. And the hashtag #MeToo movement is basically the latrine duty that's carrying out the poo. And it's not a fun job. And it's not a nice, cushy job. But it kind of has to be done. Oh no! My poor necklace. I squeezed the little daylights out of it. So anyway, that was this week's episode of hashtag No Filter Friday on Public House Media. Thanks for coming by. Next week, maybe we'll get to James Gunn next week. It's going to be between James Gunn and how much the next Harvey Weinstein story develops, because I need full and ample time to cover both of those things. So, that being said, come back next week or check out some of the other shows on Public House Media, like Beauties and Headcanons, Choose to Rise, which is nominated right now. There's a new soccer show. I think it's called Soccer Passport. That's new. And there's lots of new people coming to the network. So check them out on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play. Some of the shows are on Spotify. There's all kinds of places to listen to the podcast, and then you can see everybody's live show right here on the Public House Media page. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, a rating, a review, words of encouragement, all those, all of those fun things. I will see you all next week. See you later. Bye.